Welcome to the March 1st, 2023 regular workshop meeting of Bensenville School District 2 Board of Education. Welcome to those of you who have joined us this evening. It's wonderful to see you. Welcome to those of you who are joining us via the live stream. I'll call our meeting to order. Ms. Snyder, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Dye.
Here.
Mrs. Krajewski.
Here.
Mr. Laudadio.
Here.
Mrs. Leyva.
Here.
Dr. McCullough.
Here.
Ms. Parthamos. And Mr. Stoltman.
Here. All right, we do have a quorum. Please join us and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Snyder, do we have any public comment this evening?
No, we do not.
Then that brings us to presentations, and we've got a presentation concerning the Blackhawk Middle School renovations. Dr. McCluskey.
We do. So tonight we have STR here with us. As the board will remember, we brought forward months ago different options before the board relative to the feedback from staff and students at Blackhawk in what they would like to see to enhance Blackhawk Middle School. We took those options and we've been working with STR to identify some designs within the ranges that the board had set. When we looked at all of the options that came forward from the feedback, all of those options equaled over $16 million. And so STR is here tonight to help us to see the different options relative to the ranges that the board had set. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over.
I'm Sandra Moon with STR Partners. Thank you. We really appreciate being here. I'm pretty excited. We've been working on this for a while. I'm going to start off by explaining what we consider, but as a result of the engagement and focus groups, as well as priorities for the administration, the base kind of fundamental ideas of what we thought needed to be changed or incorporated into this next project. So I'm going to walk through a lot of the parts and pieces. So please, if you need me to repeat, please let me know. But included in what was the base, which was the 9.1 million, there's really kind of two components. One is more of an aesthetic items that we talked about initially with the focus groups and everything about their refreshing to make the environment happy and everything. So there's that component, and there's also some functional components that were requested by teachers, staff, in order to make things work better at school. So I'm going to start off with the refresh ideas. I think you guys are aware the areas that are highlighted in yellow right now, the corridors. That's actually already part of the bid and award for the flooring renovation that's going to happen this next summer. But the corridor renovation in total also includes painting of the walls, lockers, additional flooring for the areas in front, stuff that were not included in this last contract. And then some of the initial preliminary designs that we've been talking about is using accent colors as part of a wayfinding system, maybe for different areas, and highlighting some of those areas at the entry doors to the classroom areas, which also represent additional supplemental lighting to give a little more light and accent those areas. So that's kind of what's happening on the inside aesthetically. Also, there was a request also for the exterior of the building to refresh and rebrand the building street frontage point of view. So basically, we're going to take the volume of the backside around the cafeteria and around the front of the auditorium in the front entrance, and the thought of staining the brick on the outside, color still to be determined, but staining the brick as well as cleaning the limestone. There's a lot of limestone right by the cafeteria area too. So cleaning that up, and then there's also 3 signage areas that you have currently too. So refreshing all of those. So one other thing with the interior, with the corridors, There's also some brick on the interior of the corridor. So the plan is also to stain that to match whatever color is picked on the outside so that you get more of a transparency from inside to outside, carrying the rooms. So that's kind of more of those aesthetic ideas. In addition, now functionally, there were things that were kind of driving the design. In all of the schemes, we're also including new marker boards for all the classrooms, the upgrade to the 8th grade science classroom. And then also, I should mention, total cost that we have kind of calculated includes contingencies, and includes contractor general commissions, include fees, and then also owner soft costs, so including flexible furniture, abatement, and equipment. So those are kind of our best guesses, so that we're looking at a total number, more like not just construction. So in addition to the marker boards in all the classrooms, one of the larger drivers had to do with where the special ed classroom is. And we looked at different options. We landed on the room that is currently the fitness room right now, it's highlighted here in the red. To be able to relocate the special ed, because that allows us to be able to build its own toilet room as well as a sensory room. So that kind of also precipitated doing the fitness addition to be able to relocate those functions. The orange box on the upper right is really indicating that the fitness addition would be included in this. There was also the greens squares in the middle, had to do more with upgrading those existing courtyards. The desire was for including shade structures and artificial turf to make them more usable. And then the last idea really had to do more with providing intervention spaces, which we have had designed at the elementary school level, but they were not really being used at Black Oak. So there are some existing smaller, and we call them smaller rooms, but they're too small for the function of the finish. You might have up to 5 students inside of it. And they also only have doors that go into the adjacent classrooms. So the idea would be 2 per each grade level, so 6 total. They'd be expanded, and then the doors would actually be relocated to the corridor so that they could be used by multiple classrooms for multiple people, and not just the 2 classrooms that are adjacent to them. So that's pretty much. Oh, and I'm sorry. And then it also included the renovation of the existing nurse suite within the main office area in order to make it function a little bit better.
And I think something to keep in mind in this option is the intervention spaces. In order to make them a little bigger, you're actually taking a little bit of space away from each of the existing classrooms.
Right. So if you look kind of some of these existing small spaces are like triangular right now, and we'd like to be able to clean them up in order to make them more useful as a space, but obviously that square footage gets taken away from those classrooms that are adjacent.
So this won't include the addition of any new interventions rooms. It'll just expand what already exists.
It'll expand the existing small rooms, which also decreases the size of the classroom.
But that can be compensated with smaller furniture. Flexible, smaller furniture, yeah.
There's some additional options to consider as we go through the other options that wouldn't take that space away from the other classrooms.
You want me to move
Yeah.
on to that one? So
Unless anybody else has any questions about this one.
I'm gonna move to kind of the next step for us. And we recognized it was going over the 12 million mark that we were kind of trying to hit too. But in this scenario, it's mainly the same, but the larger change has to do with those intervention spaces. So what we tried to accomplish was locating them in rooms that right now don't have windows, that are classrooms, that we decided those were kind of the best location. And by doing that, you could have 3 entrances, 2 from one corridor and 1 from another corridor. So it also expanded, so instead of the 6 for every grade, or 2 for every grade level, we went to 3 for every grade level. So a total of 9. And by placing them in these current existing classroom locations, what it does is it allows us to get rid of the 7 that are existing, small rooms that are existing, straighten them up so that they're more in parity with the other classrooms.
So that it actually gives you space.
Yeah, it enlarges existing, 14 classrooms. They essentially become another 100 square feet more by being able to do away with the small rooms that aren't really being used right now. But that's also as a result of taking these. So building a classroom addition, which ends up being 2.5 just because of where it is located at the southwest corner over here. Being able to take advantage of the existing kind of offset gives you another half of it. So you end up with a net total of plus 1/2 classroom. And then you have parity, all the classrooms are the same size relatively because they're not carved out smaller.
Dr. McCluskey, this is better support for MTSS.
It does, and it also gives Blackhawk, and Perry's here as well. Dr. Finch is here as well. If the board has questions about how some of the spaces are utilized or are being considered to be utilized. But yes, it gives us more space in our existing classrooms, and it also gives us a little bit of flexibility for programming, individual supports, group supports. It gives us a lot more flexibility within the building itself.
Gary, Dr. Finch, are the courtyards currently used, and if so, how?
The one for the field back of the building is not used at all. The one closer in 6th and 7th grade is set up for a little more use, but it is not really utilized.
And in talking to staff, they'd really like it to be space that they could use more. Right now, there's nothing out there besides grass. And so that's why we'd like to make it more of a functional outdoor learning space that staff could utilize with students.
Why couldn't we put stuff out there? They could utilize benches or something.
We could, right now, we also collect ducks.
Yeah.
In those spaces, and we walk the ducks out through the building. And so some of those sunshades and stuff would help us to mitigate ducks.
But I mean, that it doesn't need any construction. We could do that.
We could, what they're
If we
talking,
choose to use that, we could.
yes, and what they're talking about here is creating a turf surface so that you no longer have to be bringing in, the lawnmowers and stuff into that space. And then, having the deck there, having some seating, and then having those sunshades so that you're able to use it. It's a more usable space.
Are they gonna add decks like in the other side, or is it just gonna be turf on? Because the decking in the other courtyard is beautiful. I don't know.
It could
Yeah.
very well. That's part of the.
Yeah.
Training.
So we did,
outdoor
yeah.
class. That would be like a tarp. They're usually pre-manufactured units that.
Thank you.
Are the doors to the courtyards only through the classrooms? I can't tell.
Yes,
Yes.
currently. Yeah.
Through the science room.
So is that something that would change then, or?
Right now, there's only one. So, I mean, I think the intent is that the science, during the science renovation, we probably want to do 2 similar to how they were done when these science classrooms.
So I mean, though, if we were gonna renovate those, wouldn't that be? Is that something we could consider, is like having an entrance or exit that's not through the classroom?
You'd have to open a classroom. You'd have to take a classroom.
Yeah, you have
space.
to take away a classroom to create a hallway to make that happen.
We did look at that idea quite a bit in 2020, the fall of 2019 and the winter of 2020, when we designed the renovation of the current science rooms. And the difficulty was that you have to build a corridor through an existing classroom space. And since most of the classrooms aren't that large to begin with, the idea of taking away 10 to 12 feet to build a corridor didn't seem like a trade that was worth it. We would love to have that kind of access. I think that the challenge for us is figuring out how exactly to locate it in the building without basically giving up a classroom we didn't want to give up.
The innovation spaces, or what are they going to, what are you planning to use them for? And what are we currently using the small ones for?
I'll let Dr. Finch speak to what we're using them currently for, the intervention spaces.
We do use them periodically to have students work in there with adult supervision or without. They're very, very small. They're pie shaped. I don't know if you've seen them. They're very challenging to have a meaningful space. They end up becoming a little bit of storage, a little bit of space for students to make up work or continue working, getting extra extended time and things like that. But the space is so tight, it's very challenging to use it.
So how do you plan to use it in this way? And the reason I'm asking is the way that they're laid out, I would think you'd want them attached to classrooms so that teachers could still use them as an addition to their classroom, where this is separated. So there would be not, a teacher would not be able to utilize it in that way anymore.
I think actually the beauty behind this outline is it frees it up for classrooms that are not adjacent to the space right now. With the egress being within the two classrooms, it sits between. Those are the only two classrooms that can access these spaces. My understanding that there would be more of a universal hallway access. So any classroom teacher from that interventionist could access that space. So
That's what I'm asking. So teachers would no longer be able to use it for space for a kid to continue to do their work because they wouldn't be monitored by an adult, where the ones that are current, they can be monitored by an adult still. However, it frees up for our interventionists to use that space easily. So we would lose part of it. I'm just pointing that out, that we would lose part of that with what the classroom teachers have now. So just, that's what I thought you were saying, but I wanted to make sure.
I think it's important to keep in mind, though, that the intention of these intervention rooms is to really support tier 2 students who are in.
That's why I was asking the question,
Right.
Chris.
So that's maintained and enhanced in this second plan.
Right, but I'm just saying the teachers who have them currently, they will not have that use for them anymore. This will turn into more of an intervention, not for teachers to have a space to have students working in.
Dr. Finch, do you see them currently using it more for individual students?
I wouldn't be concerned with that particular loss of that space. Particularly in balancing the gain from having it
That's
be
totally fine.
accessed by interventionists with those type of things.
I'd just like to point out, you're actually not losing that space in the classroom, it's coming back to the classroom, so it can be utilized. From the classroom, just not as a separate auditory
Correct.
private space.
Yes. Yep.
You're actually gaining.
Mhm.
And I got a question too, on the outside,
You
instead of like
understand.
redoing brick and standing brick and doing all that. Is there like a cost option we could see of maybe acid washing all the brick and maybe using some of the funds more on the inside of the building?
I kind of like it too.
Yeah.
I don't think you should spend money on the outside. Spend it on the inside. Education purposes.
But we're doing the floors. I don't know. I feel
Floors are
different.
inside.
Yeah, but
This is all the
that's not
outside.
helping educate the kids, is it?
No.
No. And what is the biggest complaint we get? Black Hawk looks horrible. Black Hawk looks awful. We need to make Black
Yeah,
Hawk
it's
look
just-
better. It's not just the inside.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not,
It depends on the price of it. If it's not that much, I don't think we should.
it's gonna be a lot of money. I don't think it's worth it.
That's why I asked to see if there was a cost breakdown.
Yeah.
See if it's,
Yeah, just see what the cost. You're right, it's not a lot of money.
Well, my other point to the interventionists, if we're using these for interventionists, now we have 9 spaces for interventionists. Do we have 9 interventionists going at the same time? Do we need 9 spaces? That seems like a lot to me.
Got about $200,000. Exterior. That's, I mean, it's not.
It's not that much.
It'll fix things up for the neighbors.
That's not a swinger for.
Sorry, I just had one question regarding the bottom classrooms addition. Is that just one additional classroom?
It's 2.5.
Oh,
That's what it's.
that's the one you were.
So one, this is the corner continuing through, we put another vestibule here, we have one classroom on this side. One on this, the orange is actually a new building, this existing classroom that's also in this corner of this 8th grade would turn into the last cluster 3.
I see. Okay, thank you.
So Sandra, you're adding 3.5 classrooms, 12 points. Well, a workout room,
2.5 plus we get the special ed.
right,
But then we lose
but we're getting the one out there too, right?
Yeah.
Fitness.
So, right,
That's it.
so, yeah. I'm saying space to use.
I think we need 9 interventionists.
I have a question about the court, go back to the courtyard. Sorry. The one courtyard, we don't really use that much, and I guess I'm a teacher, and I'm like, if my classroom had a door to a courtyard, I'd be like, it would drive me bananas if people were coming through there all the time. I just can't imagine how that would be.
I think the intent is that the courtyards would be used by the classrooms that are adjacent to it that have access.
Other classes wouldn't be coming
Yeah, you
through your room. It's only the classes.
It would
So only
be
the science
the
class
classrooms that are
would have access.
surrounding the courtyard that would have access, that doors would be using it, not someone coming through the hall.
Do we have to have the courtyards?
That's what I was thinking, knock that one out.
We just like put more classrooms in there.
About this too.
You know, take that out,
I
take
mean,
those classrooms out, make an entrance way in there, make some classrooms in there,
or have that be like the fitness area or something like.
do something.
Well,
They're
the,
not using it.
the point to have the fitness center move over into that corner
Yeah.
is so that all of your athletics and your PE is all in the same place. We did talk about what the possibility of basically shutting down those learning spaces because they weren't being utilized. I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Or one of them, the one that's not used at all.
The courtyards.
Mhm.
So, closing courtyards is, what the courtyard is giving is to the classrooms around it is both light and ventilation. So the unit ventilators are getting fresh air from there. So we'd have to redo the entire mechanical system or vent those spaces. It's all possible. It's just rarely does it, become economical to do that.
We thought it was pretty cost prohibitive to,
So,
Well, and then making all classrooms without windows.
yeah, so then you would have all of those classrooms without windows, including.
I have a question. So looking at the diagram, we have 8th grade being able to access, and stop me if I'm wrong, 8th grade being able to access the courtyard. So is this room number 134, 136, 6th grade? Math, 144, 7th grade, 146, 7th grade, 148. 112, special ed, 114, 7th grade, 116, 8th grade science, 122, and 8th grade science, 124. All these classrooms can access this courtyard.
Well. Doors.
Okay,
Right now, there's only one door
There.
for this west corner.
okay,
When the science rooms were done recently. All 4 of those were added.
okay,
And then there already was an existing door to the art and also a door to, part of fitness, but what we're proposing is special ed. So this courtyard right now already has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six classrooms had access.
Okay,
And the real main issue of these courtyards is they're hard to maintain. And we've got to get a mower through the interior of the building. So it does seem like a cost efficient way of managing that is AstroTurf and cell shades.
mhm.
I'd like to go back to Katie's question about the 9 intervention spaces. I think we're also looking at those not just as intervention spaces, but flexible spaces for staff. So whether you have small meetings, right now, we don't have a lot of conference space either. And so this would allow us to have some flexible spaces for office space, for staff to have, conference meetings, as well as the intervention spaces. So we're kind of looking at these as flexible areas. So it's not just 9 intervention spaces.
Okay, and that was why I was asking the question, what are we using them for? Because when I look at it and you tell me 9 intervention spaces, I'm going, that's too many
Right.
So-
We're looking at it more to have some flexibility
to use it.
to
Okay.
use them. Yeah.
I see what Katie was saying, though. I don't know if anyone understands. Like, if you're a teacher and someone's not done with the test, your next class can come in. That student can sit there while your new class comes in, and the other student can sit off to the side of another room and they can finish it. You don't have to worry about them wandering around the building, having a place to go and sit and finish that test, and having to find another teacher to sit with them, and this whole thing. So like that would be a loss ultimately. I mean, I'm not saying I think it's not my really big concern, but I'm just saying I understand what you're trying to say.
I don't know how often that actually happens, that they put them in that other room. From what Dr. Finch was saying.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but it's not a regular instance. Also not a universal perk to everyone's room. It's just a
Correct.
handful of teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Where this setup would provide significant more access to everybody in person.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it does happen, but not very often.
I think the other gain is the larger classes. So losing those intervention spaces, as Colby was saying, you're not actually losing the space, you're gaining more instructional space for the students within those classrooms. You're not as limited as we are currently. So I think the trade-off is a benefit. You get more flexible spaces for teachers and for staff to use. You also get bigger classrooms for the students for instruction. Any other questions on?
Do you want me to show the all in?
Sure. The reason we want to show this one is this is all of the feedback that staff and students had shared. So we wanted to be fair in saying, like, if we wanted to go all in with everything that people had requested, this is what the cost would be. And being able to pare back those things, I think is important for the board to see, so that you have a really clear picture on what some of the requests were. Some of them, I believe, are more nice to have than needs to have. And that's something that we can definitely discuss.
Right, so the differences between this and the 12.7 really had to do with more. Adding 2 more classrooms onto the addition, so a total of 4.5. As well as redoing the whole main office, not just the nurse's suite. And then also adding a space for outdoor seating off the cafeteria. And developing. Those were the major differences between the 12.7.
Can we cherry pick a little bit of that? And the reason I ask is because my intention in bringing this up months ago, year ago, was really to be focused on enhancing pedagogical spaces for the intention of empowering teachers to be able to teach 21st century learning skills effectively. And if we don't need the classroom space, I hate to make an investment in rooms that aren't needed. But I will say, from a culture and climate perspective and student morale, I think that outdoor cafeteria space could be an interesting endeavor. So is it a possibility that we could retain that, but put it back on that $12.7 million price tag, the middle piece? I know the price would go up a little, but to put it on that middle plane.
Permutations on how this all goes together.
Sure.
It's.
I just think that's a cultural climate issue, it's a student morale issue.
I think that was one of the items that really fell for us in that nice to have category. It's something that could definitely be added at any time if we decided to. Dr. Finch and I have had a number of conversations about that space as well, and that could become a supervision issue as well. So, you know, that's a space that we wanted to consider because it was within the feedback that was provided. But I do think that there's items in here that we feel are more essential for us to be considering. It's definitely not off the table if it's something that the board really desires.
One thing about the middle school that I do think is challenging is it feels very industrial. It doesn't have a real feeling of warmth and welcoming to learning and being able to create meaningful environments that are conducive to student learning. And I just think that's something that could be motivational.
Yeah, I think any of these options are going to change that. I feel confident in that. That any of these options are going to be very conducive to learning. It's going to brighten the spaces. It's going to be more welcoming and home-like for the students and really support instruction well. But I agree with you. That's the feedback that we've heard currently and why the desire for these options to bring forward, you know, came to light.
Okay. Let me go back to this. This is an idea. If there was extra classrooms built, could anything be shifted so that what would be the special ed classroom could be like some kind of corridor so that students could access the courtyard during lunch or something like that sometimes?
So I would say one of the reasons why the special ed classroom was put where it was is we would be able to.
Yeah, the plumbing.
Well, we would be able to put the bathroom on there, but also the entrance at the top, that's where they enter into the school. So it's close proximity for them. Right now, they're going all the way down the hall and down to that bottom. Can you point out where the special ed room is right now? They're down there. So we're trying to make it a more accessible area. And that also allows us to build on the bathroom as well as that sensory space, which we don't have right now.
Could something else be shifted where there's a door to the courtyard for that kind
I
of?
think the question more is, can we get access to the
Right.
courtyards by building?
I mean, if
by-
you're gonna have
by
extra
utilizing-
classrooms that aren't
So,
like,
For example, taking like one of these offices.
Mhm.
Like,
but just moving it, you know what I'm saying?
But it
'Cause
kind
then-
of goes
then we
back to
could,
supervision.
you're kind of killing two birds with one stone with that like space.
That's far from.
One
I'm sure
technical
that there's
issue
supervision.
Is that,
Thank you.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
please.
good.
One technical issue on these courtyards is that access is really limited to 50 people unless you have two access points.
Remote from each
Remote from each other. So,
I got you.
okay, so if we make a big door like this, it's gonna be very easy for lots of people to get there. And I think it's gonna be hard to kind of force, you know, the idea when we did the science room is that you might get one or two classes in there to use it for classes. You know, and that would be below the 50.
Yeah.
The 50 limit, so the access would be fine, right? So making doors like this, but once we open it up, I think then we have to get two spots
two
to get it
locations.
in, because then it becomes a real gathering spot.
Question I have for you is that 12.7 number,
Mm-hmm.
is that like worst case scenario after bids, it could be less type of number?
Yeah, so we have 15% contingency in that right now. So we're hoping that covers, so that is actually 5% construction contingency, which would stay the whole project probably. There's 5% design contingency and 5% owner contingency. So design is, if things get more technical or something like that, we may have to have some change. 5% design, owner contingency is for you to change your mind, add scope. You know, take off scope. If as we get closer to the final bid and the bidding, those will go down to zero, right?
Except for
Yeah,
construction contingencies.
yeah, what, you carry it. But those other ones will go down to zero, and yes, it's supposed to be a number.
My budget top number in my mind was 12, so the 12.7 even has me, but I'm thinking
Right,
worst
exactly.
case.
So part of coming up with these solutions was they have to have kind of logical needed. And we came up with some 11.4s and 10.6s and things, but they didn't really hang together as options, you know. It was just trying to fit, it was just a numbers game, right? So this kind of exceeded a little bit, but it seem to make more sense as things to provide.
What did the students and the teachers care about the most? Did you remember? I'm just curious.
I know from a staff perspective, it was shared that space was the biggest deal.
Yeah, we did those interventions. Yeah, they wanted more space, classrooms, and flexible furniture. Their classrooms, dynamic space, and they're not large classrooms to begin necessarily. So the ones with the cutout space, you know, are even less than, you know, than these ones are kind of normal classrooms. These ones are with the cutouts in them are smaller than normal classrooms.
And from a student perspective, Perry, do you have any sense?
And it was, from what I recall, it was mainly aesthetics, color, brightness. Right. Refresh.
And part of the refresh is also to unify the spaces, like right now, there's multiple flooring options and everyone always says, why are the lockers red? It's not even this color. I mean, part of it is to refresh the entire thing at one time, to bring in kind of some calmness in a way, be able to not have it be.
So each of these options mirrored the student feedback. That's included in all of them, the brightening of the hallways, the lighting, the flooring, all of those pieces are included in all of these options. The intervention spaces and the spaces for teachers, that's kind of defined in each of these options differently.
So any other questions from the board? We're not making any decision on this tonight, so you have an opportunity to go back, look at these floor plans and think about how we might want to proceed. But there are a couple of important things, just as a reminder that I think it's important to keep in the fronts of our mind. This requires no referendum. This requires no sacrifice or modification to any of the budgeting the school district will do or does in its operations. And this comes out of savings that the school district has on hand. So we're very fortunate to be in a situation where we can upgrade Black Hawk, bring it more into alignment with what's at Johnson and Tioga. We're very fortunate to have beautiful schools there. And this will really enhance the teacher's opportunity to teach 21st century learning skills, which preparing students for college and high school, those are important skills to get to practice. So.
And before we move on, can we go on to the next slide?
Oh, I'm
That you
sorry,
have-
there's another plan.
We kind of talked about this, yeah, the timeline, one more, Tim, please. No, that's okay. We just want to walk the board through the planning and preparation that needs to occur and the rationale for why we need to start making some decisions by the next meeting. So if you want to go ahead and share.
So the premise is that we would start construction spring or somewhere like 24, right? Now, lead times are getting very long and bidding has been, you know, people are bidding projects earlier and earlier. So we're looking at trying to get out to bid in October of this fall. All right, so we get a good jump on things. We can start to order mechanical equipment and all these things that are taking a long time to procure. All right. So in order to do that, we gotta work backward. So there seems to be plenty of time to do that. But the thing that's really driving this is that a lot of the design this darker green band is design that needs teacher input. And so we want to get started in time that we can start meeting with teachers before they go off for summer break. And summer, you can't really design. What's good for summer for us is field verification, to get inside the building, to look at things, that kind of thing. But to talk to people, users in the space, to incorporate their ideas, we need to do that before the end of May. So, and the design process, usually when we're designing, you know, we meet every 2 weeks, because you meet once and then you have to kind of make the thing. And then just like you do here, we present the idea. We come back, we have a follow-up meeting where they, you know, approve, you know, make modifications that they do in the first one. And then usually review and say it's okay on the second. Minimum of kind of 2 meetings per space per thing. And we really only have the opportunity, if we had started very soon, to get like 5 meetings. So we'd really like to get going. There's other things that if we do the additions, we have to start to do, you know, surveys and soil borings done in those areas. Those take time to get through. And then that will also kind of lead into getting stormwater permitting things, which, you know, we try to. Good news is that Bensonville is able to approve their own stormwater management, but it still is a lengthy process.
You have a question. The timeline after this then for 2024, can we just have a brief overview of what that looks like?
Well, you know, I don't know about the construction timeline, but theoretically, it would be nice to start to do additions, such as those additions, to have them start to get into ground in the spring, you know, while students are actually still here. And then all the interior work treated as a summer renovation. And try to get it all done, you know, when the students leave, just start to hit the refreshing the lockers, you know, redoing the partitions and the various classrooms and things like that. And then the extra months that we gain in the spring hopefully allow us to build the shell and then finish out those additions and bring them all online for school in the fall of that year.
And one other thing too is in the timeline, we need to factor in whatever they do. That could take some time at the beginning, or then contractors can't use the space because so it kind of makes the construction process stretch out a little more whenever you do it.
So for instance, we're abating hallways this summer, mainly so that we don't have to think about it in the timeline of the following summer. But when you look at the either the expansion or the demolition of the intervention rooms, whichever one of those strategies you go with, there's little bits of floor tile in all those places. And so you're talking about removing 100 square feet here and 100 square feet there, and pretty soon you've got 2,000 square feet, and it's a project. It won't be nearly as much as the hallways, you know, that's 13,000 square feet. But there's just little things like that that are going to have to get done right at the beginning of the summer.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, well, this project represents a investment in the education of the children of Bensonville, and it's all done in-house. And STR, thank you both very much for your contributions. Thank you. All right, board committee reports. Do we have any announcements?
Yes, from the Bensonville Community Foundation. Last meeting, I mentioned that they were looking for any options or any ideas that we had to spend the grant money from Subaru. So I did talk with Katie and sent some things over to Tom, just waiting to hear back from him. And then when we hear back, we'll.
Thank you for doing that. Any other announcements? No? Okay. Dr. McCluskey, administrative reports.
Sure, we have 2 tonight. The first one is that the 5 essential survey is still open. It's open till the end of March. So we ask that parents please fill out the survey. We're right now hovering right around 20% of our parents in each building have filled out the survey. So we're really trying to push for more families to fill that out. And then the second one is, as you know, February was Black History Month. Staff across the district worked with our students to learn more about our African-American leaders in history. I wanted to take just a quick minute to share with the board the work that our ISP classroom did. And they called it Black History Month's Living Museum at Johnson School. And I just think it's important for the board to see the work of some of our special education students in the ISP classroom. I'm going to go ahead, Tim. So they dressed up like their African-American leader in history. Mercedes Childress is here tonight. She's our ISP grade 3-4 teacher. And I just want to say thank you for bringing such a wonderful experience to our students.
That was great.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the work that you do in your classroom. All right, that brings us to our consent agenda for this evening. We only have one item on the consent agenda pertaining to personnel. Do I have any requests? Since there's only one item, I kind of feel funny asking this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Do I have any requests to have an item removed from the consent agenda for discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All right. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Ms. Snyder, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Laudadio.
Aye.
Mrs. Leyva.
Aye.
Mrs. Dye.
Aye.
Mrs. Krajewski.
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos.
Aye.
Mr. Stoltman.
Okay. That brings us to a discussion concerning our property, our parcel of property at the old Mohawk School, the Mohawk site. Mr. Novak?
Yes, as you know, we sent out this memo on Friday, listing some options that we'd be interested in getting your feedback on. Also on Friday, the village contacted us about a possible water detention project at the site, and we shared with you a write-up about some questions and answers about that. So I don't have a particular set of information to provide outside what was in those handouts. I'd be happy to entertain any questions or give you any answers to the things that I do know about how it would work. We've got, quite a few things that we could do in the future here. That's what's listed in this memo. That's sort of the primary purpose of having this on the agenda. The village's request is probably a little more urgent from a timeline point of view than any of these 6 items are. There's no reason to take action on any of these 6 at the moment, but if you gave us some feedback, we'd know how to provide you with more information about what that might look like.
Any questions? Discussion concerning the request from the village?
We're discussing all options, correct?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Not just the village.
Although the village has, I'll say, requested intergovernmental agreement for the site to be utilized as a detention pond.
Well, I'll start. I'll say I'd like to stick with option 2. That we retain ownership, but yet we can give the park district control over maintaining the parks and the fields, and hopefully we can get that field stripe for football, soccer. It would be great.
Okay, and with option 2, what does that do as far as liability for us or responsibility for us? Like, does this clear us from all liability?
Well, if you're the property owner has always got some liability, and our insurance cooperative is set up to cover that for us. When 2 governments share a piece of property like this, they usually enter into an agreement where each one says that my insurance will cover the other one for stuff that happens. So in this case, where the other government, the park district, is running the property, we would want their insurance to be the primary responsibility for everything. But we would maintain ours. We couldn't afford to cancel it. You know, you just have to have something.
And that's how it's set up right now with the field in the back
At
right now
Black-
with
right.
The park district.
Right,
Well,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so, for
It would be
instance,
the
lots of
same.
times organizations come in and use a classroom for meetings, or we have after-school activities, or we host meetings of civic associations. All those people carry insurance, and they submit something that says, for the length of this period of time, the school district is covered by our policy for our activities at that site. And so when you do something like this on a more continuous basis, you have a very similar kind of agreement.
And what's the insurance cost?
Well, we don't price our insurance by piece of the district, you know, it's just one thing for everything.
And it does it lessen if we alleviate more, or it stays the same?
I don't think we could ever figure out that it went down a little, you know, compared to the value of everything else that's going on in the district and the exposure of 2,000 students and 500 staff. What happens at Mohawk will not move the needle a whole lot.
I do think that we all want to keep it playgrounds or kid fields for kids. There's not a lot of area over there for the kids to play and have fun. I think any one of these, probably like Jim said too, to make park maintain, we do an intergovernmental agreement with them and keep it as a park and a playground, maybe soccer fields. I like that one.
I want to be clear on a couple of things, because the communication that we received from the village was really articulated in such a way that the intergovernmental agreement was more of a demand than it was a request. And in that vein, the work that the information acquired by the school board or given to the school board indicated that there were grant funds associated with this, and that there had been previous planning associated with this project, and that there was a flooding issue in the subdivision. Well, I want to make it clear that the reality is the project that was to be funded by the grant that is presented in the board update from this past week actually goes back to October of 2021. And the reality here is, and I'm going to share this with you because there's no discussion of this parcel of property encapsulated in this project. So please bear with me for a moment, but this is germane to. Sure.
Before you go into this. Are any of us entertaining the IGA from the village?
No.
It's kind of pointless.
It's I will share with you why. This is the 4th time that the village, our local municipality, has overstepped into the business and the
Really
work
sorry,
of the
but I
school
don't think
district.
that this is a political agendas. And I'm really
It's not a
disappointed.
It's not a
I'm
political agenda.
disappointed that you.
It's not a political agenda. It's a reality. Let me remind you Please.
Do we?
We
if-
all
if
took
we're
an oath.
Maintaining that, do we need to hear? I just feel like we're here to make decisions about children.
Our
And-
board policy states that when there are questions about operating procedures in the meeting, that we defer to Robert's rules. And according to Robert's rules, we all get 10 minutes for the floor. Then there's an opportunity to answer and respond to questions for an additional 10 minutes. So if we wish to follow that, which I'm fine with, we each have an opportunity to share our thoughts for 10 minutes. And I'd like to have a little bit of my time to share what I'm concerned about.
I don't disagree personally, but you have your 10 minutes. I think you continuously have been using this as a political forum, and it's disappointing.
I have never used this as a political forum.
Doing it now.
Well, I'm gonna share with you a concern. Every one of us,
But station, this did come from nowhere. It's kind of ridiculous that they sent this to us. I mean, they've been doing this, they have engineers, architects. No, I'm saying. Why would you say that? I'm not
Because-
saying you should do it, I'm just saying. This did come from nowhere. No,
No,
But do we have to go into details about it? No one really needs to hear
Yeah.
details about it.
Entertaining that option.
We all think it was put on us pretty abruptly
That's all I'm saying.
and,
put on us.
and that wasn't,
Listen to that.
I'm entitled to my opportunity to speak and I would like to speak. So we all took an oath of office when we joined the school board that states, I shall respect taxpayer interest by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. We have an example of our municipality attempting to overreach and commandeer a piece of property that's owned by a separate taxing body. And the Brown Gate subdivision has been something that's been under exploration for some time, since October of 2021. I want to share this. This is a resolution from the village from a meeting on November 15th, 2020. The Brown Gate subdivision, consisting of Green Valley Street, Marshall to East End, Kevin Lane, Stoneham Street, and North Franson Street, is in need of water main replacement, storm sewer improvements, and roadway improvements due to the age of the existing infrastructure. The Brown Gate subdivision falls into a census block that is eligible for DuPage County Community Development Block Grant funding. In October of 2021, the village submitted an application for DuPage County CDBG funds for the 2023 Brown Gate subdivision roadway and water main improvements project. The CDBG program is generally a 75-25 split with a max cap of $600,000. Here's the piece that's particularly germane. The scope of work proposed includes approximately 1,600 linear feet of 8-inch ductile iron water main, approximately 1,500 feet of new storm sewer, enhanced resurfacing of roadway pavement, curb and gutter replacement, sidewalk replacement, driveway replacement, ADA sidewalk upgrades, and landscape restoration. Nowhere in the scope of work presented in this proposal is anything about a detention pond at Mohawk Park. This is the fourth time in my tenure on the school board that I have pushed back directly to issues of our municipality overreaching. There is a video that's been posted on Facebook from the village in which Village President Frank DeSimone states that the taxing bodies were collaborative, along with Mr. Summers, that the taxing bodies work collaboratively and effectively together. It is time that everyone is aware that the taxing bodies have been put in a situation that creates adversarial relationships.
Canceling that right
And
now.
this,
Wow. Listening, really?
That should be at the village meeting.
I agree,
This-
Chris, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's
I
horrible.
cannot believe that you as a board president are putting us in this situation.
okay, then if that's the way you all feel, it's time that folks understand a few things. We are manipulated by relationships that have been created by our village leadership. And that is the reality. And I'll give you one example, and then I hope I don't have to go further. Mr. Stoltman, you have a liquor license that expired yesterday.
Didn't expire yesterday.
Okay,
This is not
Completely wrong.
Chris.
I have a question.
This is not okay.
You should just stick to the school
Chris,
board.
please stop.
I have a question.
Ms. Dine.
Number two, if we do
Oh,
number two.
All right, guys, the audience can't be talking, but let's just go on. Let's talk about Mohawk.
Let's please talk about school. board
Yeah,
business.
let's go back to Mohawk.
I have a question.
Ms. Dine.
Thank you. Number two, if we do option number two, so that means we don't have ownership, so that we don't have to pay for maintaining it anymore, correct?
We retain
I'm
ownership.
sorry. No,
Just sign
I
it.
misspoke. But we don't maintain it.
Correct.
Okay. That was my question.
I just want to keep it green land for the green space for the kids.
Yeah.
So whatever gets us
absolutely.
there, I'm fine with it.
I'm
As
fine with
long
doing
as
the
it's-
same inner agreement that we have right now with the Blackhawk land behind us. With the park district maintaining it and doing the fields, if that is what I'm understanding number two is, that's what I would like to
I'd love
see.
to see it field.
So the direction that we're really looking for from the board is just a consensus to start engaging in conversations with the park district around these options. To be fair to the park district, we have not had these
But we
conversations
have
with
our
them.
president here.
Because we had to
We
bring
have
it
talked
here
about-
first to make sure that we had direction from the board to engage in any conversation moving forward.
Okay, so Jim, you said two.
Two.
Bob, two. I'm good with two.
I'm too.
Katie's good with two. Lori?
I'm good with two. We're tabling it until later.
I want to take care of it.
I think there needs to be a
Yeah,
stipulation
my
on
part.
two. That it's a short-term agreement that can renew into perpetuity. But if the school district ever has an opportunity to sell that parcel of land. And then those funds be reinvested into the education of children. That needs to be an option that's on the table for the school
I can
district.
see that, I'm sure Parker will.
We're keeping ownership of it, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we can't tie it up in a 25-year IGA.
Right,
It has to be an IGA that would renew.
yeah, I would go. We don't want to keep it for 20, I mean, we don't know what we're gonna do in 25 years anyway, so we're not gonna
Right.
tie it in. Who knows?
Yeah.
I could understand, that's fine. So I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Go with two.
Thank you, Katie.
Hopefully the park will work with us and.
Oh, absolutely.
Take-
You know, if I could speak.
Go ahead, Steve.
It's okay. This all came out of the blue for us. We've been working with you with an IGA for how many months, right?
Right.
It's something that we want to do and I think our administration's been working together on it. And when I was told about this Friday, I was like, where the heck did this come from? Everybody knows it's in our minutes that we've been working not only with you and as with them to increase our soccer program. And that's really a need of the village. So I appreciate your board, the board. I think we can definitely work it out. It would be a great asset to the village as a whole. And I won't get into the politics of it, but I was very surprised when I heard it. It was like already a done deal. And they should have come to either us and said, well, wait a minute, if you're working on an IGA, we would prefer to do that. Never happened. So I was disappointed in that there seems to be a lack of communication. But no, we have talked about it. And like I said, Joe's been working on it tirelessly, not only with you, but with Fenton. Because we have to come up, as you know, Fenton is going to be rebuilding their football fields. So we are offering our fields to Fenton to use as practice for their football and to keep their programs going while they're working on it. So we have a lot of IGAs going on, and again, I don't want to take much of your time, but we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think this is a very good resolution, a very good resolution. I want to be very clear that the reason that I am upset It's because, as it's been stated, we had no idea that this was coming. And it is not included in the scope of work that was presented by the village back in November.
Chris, I think we all agree on that,
Yeah.
but let's not lower ourselves to those people's standards. We are higher than that. And let's keep ourselves there.
I'm
So
not
that's
low-
all I'm saying.
Ms. Jackie, I'm not lower. The issue that I have is I
I'm
will
just
protect the
saying.
assets for the children.
Trust me, I am all on board for that, especially that park, especially putting in the blood, sweat and tears that I have done for that park. Trust me.
It sounds good.
All right. Then that brings us to. Any new business? Any new business? Right, hearing none, there's no need to engage in a closed session tonight. Is there? Well, then we're ready to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Also.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to adjourn the March 1st, 2020, the March 1st, 2023 regular workshop meeting of the Vincentville School District 2 Board of Education. All in favor indicate by stating aye. Any opposed? Abstention? Our meeting is now closed. Thank you all very much.